welcome to the Joy of Gymnastics. Today we're going to be going through a full body stretch. So if you just got done doing gymnastics and your body is super sore, or if you're about to go do a lot of gymnastics, this is the stretch for you. Let's get started. Let's go ahead and come to a seated straddle position. We're gonna start by stretching out our side here, opening up those rib cages. So I'm gonna turn and face my torso towards my left leg and lean forward into that leg. I'm gonna try and bring my belly, then my chest, then my face down to my knee or shin. Keeping the toes pointed and pinky toes rolling back. Deep breaths here. We're gonna hold this for a little bit. Now, if you're on your second day sore because you've been practicing a lot and your body is so tight, you might not want to feel like stretching, but I promise this is the best thing to do to help you feel better. Just keep reaching and breathing. If we only hold our stretches for just like a microsecond and then sit up, it's as if we didn't stretch at all. The stretch actually doesn't even start to engage until after 30 seconds of already holding that pose, which means you have to hold it for a minimum of a minute if you want a 30-second stretch. So I like to hold it for at least 2 minutes or so. Nice breaths here. Even though I'm stretching into this leg, I'm still actively pressing my right hip down onto the mat so it's not lifting off. And if you can, try and rest your face on your knee or your shin. Keep breathing here. Then inhale those arms up nice and tall. Exhale, we're gonna twist to face our body towards our right leg and reaching for that foot or ankle or shin, wherever you're at. Whatever you can reach though, grab and pull your body closer in. Again, I'm not trying to bring my face down with my back arched. I wanna keep my back flat, pulling in belly, chest, then your face. Hips are pressing down and back. Sometimes I like to go for a half of a bind here, wrap my right arm behind my back, reaching forward with my left. Again, breathing here, stretching. Trying to keep that hip from coming up off the mat. Keeping every part of your body engaged still. Breathing really helps to relax and open the muscles. Sometimes I like to give little jiggles or kind of pat whichever part of my body I'm stretching. Any way to trick my muscles into relaxing. Then inhale, arms up to center, sitting up nice and tall. If you need to, you can always untuck the flesh of your buttocks. That helps me to sit up a little bit taller and straighter. And exhale, we're gonna pancake. Reaching, again, the belly, I'm not arching to reach my head forward, pulling the belly, then the chest. Whew, extra tight today, practiced a lot of gymnastics. Day before yesterday. Again, I'm pressing my hips down and back behind me which helps to lower my belly and my chest to the mat. And I'm kind of engaging, whether it's with your hands, pulling your chest through your shoulders or your forearms. This is a good one to hold for a while. This is pretty groin-tastic here. If you're in your full pancake, you can actually slide your hands underneath your knees or walk your hands out to your ankles. And inhale, walking those hands back so your torso's up to 90. Now this time, instead of going to face my leg, I'm gonna reach my right arm up and take it all the way to my foot. Try and look underneath that top arm to look up at the ceiling, which means I have to roll the shoulder open. And same thing here, you can reach your left arm across to your right hip. A reminder to keep that right hip planted. And as I inhale, I'm really stretching and expanding this right rib cage here. Again, it's really important to hold these stretches if you actually want to get the benefits of stretching. When you're ready, inhaling, arms up. Now your left arm comes up. Exhale, reaching forward. That right foot now, peeling that top shoulder. So if my shoulder's rounded forward like this isn't too much of a side stretch here. That's why I want to peel it open. So even if your hand is in the air and you're not to your foot, as long as you're taking this arm, pulling it back to twist your torso up at the ceiling. And breathe. If you really want to stretch, you've got to hold it. And if you want to get better and better, if you want to get deeper and deeper into your stretches, more flexible, you've got to do it every day. You've got to stay consistent. Pushing yourself just to the point where it's tight and you can feel that you're stretching, but not to the point where you're actually hurting yourself. You don't want to strain anything here. And inhale, sitting up nice and tall. And we're going to pancake one more time. Exhale, folding forward. My hips have always been my issue. Trying to get my hips open. Everybody's bodies are built differently. So if you try to measure your flexibility by being able to touch your toes or not when you're standing, just because you can touch your toes doesn't mean you can necessarily do a pancake, right? So everybody's built differently. My hips are tighter than others, but my back is more open than other people's, and vice versa. And sometimes when I come to my mat, I can lay flat down. And then other times it's so hard. So even just day to day, your body is going through so many changes and dealing with so many different things. All right, then inhale, walking those hands back up. Ooh, now pull those knees in together. Tuck and give your knees a little hug. It's always like a hurt good after that. Kind of wiggle these out a little bit. Not so much. I'll wiggle these out a little bit. All right, then we're gonna come to our side, laying back. So for your hollow bodies, if you haven't quite figured out how to do a hollow body just yet, essentially you just lay down. Then what you can do is lift your legs off the floor. In order to do that, I'm not just using my legs to lift, I'm actually using my lower stomach to lift my legs. So when I go to lift them, I tuck my tailbone and I pull my lower belly in. And that's what lifted my legs just now. So now I've got half of my hollow body. Now the second half is tucking the ribs as if you're about to sit up. That's what you hold right there, but not so much. Just as long as the shoulders come off the ground, tuck the tailbone, tuck the tummy. Here's your hollow body. Now from your hollow, I'm gonna take my left leg up into the air while my right leg stays straight and stretches out away, and switch. When you grab your leg, pull in and switch. Grab, tug, switch. Again, my toes are pointed, giving a nice turnout. Whenever we're practicing, even if it's just stretching, we really want to practice proper form. Because if we're sitting here like this, stretching, that's going to translate into our tricks. And we don't want that. That looks so much prettier, doesn't it? So sometimes, even though this kind of feels like a workout while we're stretching, in order to relax our muscles, we need to create fire in our muscles. Feel them burning a bit. Work them so they release. And when you're ready, inhale. Just give a nice resting pose here for a second. And then let's go ahead and come up to our knees. Coming to our knees, I like to sit on my toes. So if your toes are pointed like that, I like to flex my feet, tucking my toes underneath and sitting back. This really helps to open my feet, which opens my hamstrings, which opens my hips and my back and my neck all the way up. So now I'm going to place my hands, nice wide fingers here. Your index fingers are facing forward. They're just shoulder width apart, and I'm going to lean into those wrists, taking my shoulder past my hands, however far you can go. Try and make sure that you're having active fingers here. So this is like for our handstands and pretty much anything, cartwheels, round offs, back handsprings. Our hands do a lot of work in gymnastics, so it's important that we're strengthening and stretching them just as much as we are the rest of our body, if not more so. Now stay leaning. You can rock back and forth or roll side to side, playing with the pressure. Again, not going so far that you're hurting yourself, but enough that it's a stretch. And make sure that your arms are staying straight. If they're bending like this, you're not really doing much for yourself. Then inhale, rocking back. Now I'm going to turn my hands so my thumbs are facing out and my fingertips are pointing towards my knees, placing them right in front of my knees. Now I rock back to sit on my heels, keeping my arms straight. And if you're only here and that's a stretch for you, that's quite all right. Just keep working and keep pressing. Take your time with it. Again, I like to give little wiggles. Anytime you can wiggle or shake your body, into relaxing, do it. But go easy, move mindfully. And then now leaning forward to take your pressure off the hands. Now I'm going to turn my hands so that way my thumbs are in and the tops of my hands are down, palms are up, fingertips still facing my knees. Once I place them, keeping my arms straight, I rock back. My hands are still wide here, fingers are spreading. This one's my favorite. This feels so good. It's a good little counter stretch if you just practiced your handstands or anything like that. And then go ahead and shake them out, shake them out. You can interlock your fingers. Do like a little bit of a wave action here. You can keep your fingers interlocked, bring your forearms together. Let's make meatballs. Make your meatballs. One direction, then the other. Shake it out, shake it out. Now we're gonna come up to our knees. So standing tall on the knees, I'm gonna take my left leg forward. I walk it out, keeping my hips where they are till my leg is straight. Once my leg is straight out, then I press into that knee, giving a nice lunge here. We always want our ankle in front of our knee. If our ankle is behind our knee, you're putting a lot of strain right in your kneecap. It's a really sensitive area, so we want to avoid that by keeping the knee behind the ankle. And now, if you're letting your hips open, so see how you can see both of my cheeks here, I want to pull my left hip back, which pushes my right hip forward, and hold the lunge like that. So now I'm really stretching my outer hip here, and I'm also stretching the top of my back thigh. And exhale, really getting deep into that stretch here. If you're having trouble staying, like not wobbling while you're up here, you can always place your hands on either side and hold and breathe. I really feel this where my quad meets my hip in my back right leg. And then I really feel this on the outside of my left leg. Keep breathing. I know that you want to wiggle. I know that you want to fall out of it, but try not to. Gotta stay here. Let the body take in the stretch. And then when you're ready, you can straighten that front leg, bringing your nose to your shin or your knee, trying to keep this foot straight, flat on the mat. I like to take my foot and press it down and away from my body, and then it really accentuates all of your hamstring muscles right here. Again, I'm still pulling that left hip back, right hip forward. My legs are active, even though we're stretching. If you want, you can flex that foot, and then I kind of like to tug my left hip backward while keeping my heel here, so it gives it an even little bit deeper stretch. And then again, wherever I can give like a little smack. Again, I'm not like actually slapping myself, just giving nice little open palm pats. Or you can even take a nice loose fist. Help to trick the body. And when you're ready, we're gonna stretch that all the way out into our split. And now same thing as when we were stretching. If your hips are open And if this knee is up and your foot is to its side, you want to roll your back knee under. Make sure that the top of your back foot is facing down. Pull that right hip forward, left hip back, and try and face forward. I like to sit up tall here, working to tuck the tailbone under. And then here you can rock side to side. Where do you need the stretch the most? If it's in your front leg, you can always try and lean to the inside of that front leg, pressing it down. If it's your back leg that is more tight, you can actually go to the inside of that back leg and lean away from it. So I always play with what my body needs, with what feels good for my body. You should do the same. Take everything I say as a suggestion. You know your body better than anybody else. Whew. And as you can see here, I'm rocking. I'm really trying to press down. And even though my legs are stretching apart, I'm still pulling my inner legs together. Has almost a spiraling effect that pulls and lifts you up. And then when you're ready, go ahead and sit to the side, nice and slow. Bring that knee back in. Give a quick child's pose here if you'd like. Then coming back up to our knees, we're gonna stretch the right side. Right foot goes straight out in front. I'm not taking it to the side. I want everything to be in alignment here. So now I walk that foot all the way out till my leg is straight. Exhale, pressing into that knee. And again, make sure that you're nice and aligned here so you're not straining anything. Right hip is pulling back, left hip is pushing forward. Tailbone is tucking down, not up. It always takes a few seconds, but you can really feel when that tension starts to let go, because all of a sudden you just feel this opening and it's like, whoo, there's that space where I can sink into this. And breathe. If you're holding your breath, if you're squeezing your face and you're like, this hurts, oh, this is so hard, then you're gonna make it harder for yourself. You're gonna exhaust your muscles because you're not giving them oxygen. I like to pretend to send my breath to where it's tight, and I imagine what it would feel like to have my breath, the oxygen, expanding that tension. And then as I exhale, I push that tension out through my breath and allow myself to sink even deeper. Go ahead and straighten that front leg, nose to shin. I'm keeping my foot flat here still. Right hip back, left hip forward. When you press your foot out and down, you can really feel it on the side and the top of your shin. Almost might be like a slight burning sensation if you have really tight IT bands. Give yourself some love here, massage it out, whatever you need to do. Now flex that foot, really sinking back. I'm pulling back with my hip. So my foot is sliding, but I'm trying to keep it where it's at. And this gives me a nice stretch. Even rock the foot here side to side. Wave hi to your friends with your foot. This one's tighter than my left today. Usually my left one is tighter. When you're ready, exhale, slide out into that split. Again, we want to make sure that this is a forward split because your middle split, yes, your hips are open, but this is not a middle split. So again, playing here with what feels good. Ooh, this IT band is just on fire today. Now play with what feels right, rocking back and forth. If you find a spot that's like, ooh, yeah, stay here, then stay there. It also helps if your body is warm when you stretch. So if it's really cold, I don't feel like stretching when I'm cold. So sometimes I'll actually take a bath, like a nice hot Epsom salt bath before I start stretching, or I'll heat up my room. I'll turn on the heater up to like 75 or 77 if it's cold. And then that makes me want to stretch more, and it's actually easier to stretch too. And when you're ready, nice and slow, ooh, pulling those legs together. You can give a nice tug here if you want. Then we're gonna go for our middle split. So I like to make sure that I'm along a line or some sort of straight edge that I can follow, because you'll be surprised that when you go into your straddle splits, one foot wants to be way up here, one wants to be here, one's bent, the other straight, yada yada. So make sure you have kind of a guideline that you can follow and keep your legs in the same plane. And if your hips are too forward and they're not between your feet, that's not going to be a really good stretch. So I'm going to press my bottom back through my feet and my hips. Coming to your forearms, whoo, breathe. And same thing here, I like to rock. And even though my legs are stretching apart, they're still activated. I'm still squeezing them together so I don't sink too fast or too deep into this pose, because you can seriously injure yourself if you do. I've been there. I've had a 3-year-long groin injury from dropping too fast into my splits when I wasn't ready. And then when you're ready, woo, rocking back. Pull those knees up. Give a nice hug here. All right, and then for our last and final stretch, we are going to come to our pike position. So that's with our legs 90 degrees. Again, if you need to pull the flesh out, sitting up nice and tall, reach for your feet. If you can only grab your ankles or your shins or your knees, pull your chest through your shoulders and reach down. You want to keep a flat back here, because if you round it, this is a back stretch. But we really want to stretch our hamstrings. Once you see your chest coming through your shoulders, you will feel your legs engage more. And point the toes, make it look pretty. Chest is pulling through the shoulders. We want to bring our belly, then our chest, then our face. Try not to let your knees bend up either. We want to keep the whole leg on the ground. If you're only here stretching, I love it. That's great. Stay there. You'll get here eventually. And then now flex your feet so much that your heels actually come up off the ground. You can grab your toes if you want and help pull them back. And then now point your toes. Now you can let your back around. And then sitting up nice and tall. Thank thank you so much for following along. I hope that this helped relieve some tension or soreness in your body. Again, you can also use this as a pre-stretch before you go and do gymnastics, but it's so important to stretch after you're done working out. So even if you're not doing gymnastics, CrossFit, whatever, this is really good to just bring the space back into your body so you're not tight and stiff and feeling hurt. Thank you so much and hope to see you again.